nice to have you on the program. 60 Minutes Nigeria. We listen to a fundamental statement, one of the innovations of this wonderful station, where we allow very prominent world leaders, African leaders, to we hear their comments, landmark comments. Okay, just joining us, we have a former member of the Edo State House of Assembly, and of course, a very seasoned politician, a man you would like to hear from, Felix Ogbejele. Nice to have you.
Fidelix.
Fidelix Ogbejele, nice to have you.
Good afternoon, viewer.
Okay. And we also have with us a legal luminary, a legal practitioner in Edo State. He's been on this program a number of times, Barrister Tim Obamedu Wogi. Nice to have you on the show.
Always my pleasure to be here.
Okay. And we also have with us, also just joining us, a very seasoned politician, a statesman as well, Isaac Irabo. Nice to have you. Okay.
Pleasure.
Yes, I started the program by talking about what happened at the National Assembly, because we are looking at the topic, strengthening democracy in Nigeria. And I told you that in democracy we have three arms of government. We have the executive, we have the legislature, we have the judiciary. And I also told you that for democracy to be regarded as a functional democracy, a democracy that is working, it means there is respect or separation of powers, and also checks and balances. But something very disturbing happened, and that was 7th of this month in Abuja, where armed, masked officials of the DSS prevented federal lawmakers, some federal lawmakers, from gaining access to the National Assembly complex. I allowed you to see the footage of what transpired just now. So we just start with that, and we start with Bajum Ogiva, who started the program with us. You saw what happened. Yeah, what's your take on that development, the siege on National Assembly by DSS officials?
It's a huge shame that a country such as us, which have the largest population of black people on earth, cannot practice common democracy. You understand? Look at it like this. There are three arms of government. If each arm of the government respect the other, things like this won't happen. I'm sure the Director General of the DSS didn't just wake up and say, let me go block or tell my men to block the gate of the National Assembly. He's not a politician. You and I know there's somebody behind him. There must be powers, forces that gave him the power to go to the National Assembly and block it. How do you block the lawmakers from going to their offices to make laws? That is what they were elected to do. But as we go, we find out, or we see, because now he's in house arrest. He didn't act alone. We have to stop whacking the dog. Now they are using him as a tool, a scapegoat. He didn't act alone. When he's being persecuted, I think, what do you call it? There should be a panel to be set up.
A probe panel?
Yes, to investigate why he, on his own, will just go there and send his people to block them. Why will he send masked DSS officials to block National Assembly? Is it lawful for DSS to go on operation wearing mask? The last time I checked, is armed robbers that wear masks to operate. You know, so come to think of it, a panel should be set up. You know, independent panel should be set up to probe who is behind what actually went on. And when they are found guilty, all of them should be prosecuted. You know, we give kudos to our vice president who had the courage, despite what happened, to be able to fire the Director General of DSS and put him on, and announce that she will put on house arrest. You know, I think they should actually go beyond and find out what is happening. And then us as a people, you know, we are politicians, most of us are. We have to realize that this country of us, we need to get better. we have to realize that the country is bigger than any political position and bigger than any political party. The country should come first. I remember in the 60s we said one Nigeria. Where is the one Nigeria? Now how many Nigerians are we? We have to realize that the country, our country, America will die for their country. Other countries, individuals will die for their country. China will defend their country. This is the only country, of ours, where we put our party and ourselves first before the country. And then we expect it to work right. I think that is the dream.
Okay, thank you. We'll just take the thoughts of Obamedo Wogie. You saw what happened, the National Assembly, the siege. You've heard Majuma's thought. What's your thought?
Erusa, what played out on Tuesday, the 7th of August, 2018, at the hallowed ground of the National Assembly,
yes,
was a show of shame.
How do you mean?
It was an unnecessary usurpation of power, condemnable an act, and damnable an action. We are, as lawyers, we are worried. Why should this happen in our thriving democracy? I'll have you know, Nigeria operates a written constitution as distinct from that of the United Kingdom,
okay,
which operates an unwritten constitution.
Yes.
And the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, sections 4, 5, and 6, establishes the three arms of government.
Yes.
And that is that we have the legislative arm of government that legislates on matters. We have the executive arm of government that implements the laws doled out by the legislative arm. And if there is conflict of interest, the judiciary comes in to interpret the law.
Yes.
These are the three arms of government in our constitution. Specifically, those sections mentioned, sections 4, 5, and 6. Now, what does that postulate as it relates to interpretation of the various sections?
Okay.
It is that these arms of government, they operate independently of each other. Further than that, they are autonomous. And what that means is that no arm should interfere in the operations of the other arm. What we saw on that day was an incursion, disturbing an act. That is why I was happy that the national president of the Nigerian Bar Association, President Ibn Mahmoud, condemned it totally. Why should it be that Nigeria, we are trying to have our place? Our nation has been besmirched in the Committee of Nations.
Yes.
And this reoccurs. In the Committee of Nations, I tell you, it has affected our reputation.
Okay.
One would expect that with what we have in place since 1999, these various arms of government should have respect for each other. We expect that as of now, we should have a healthy synergy between the various arms of government. And that is that the legislative arm respects the executive, the executive in turn respects the legislative arm. And when there is conflict between the two, the judiciary comes in and interprets the law. Because it remains the last home.
And it ought to be respected.
Yes. Of the common man. And should be respected. These are the three arms. Why should it be that we see executive lawlessness? And what is more aching and nauseating is this. All country as we speak, there is no explanation as to where that authority emanated from. Who gave the order? We have been asking. And it is unfortunate that nothing has come out from the blue, quote unquote. We expect by now that there should have been a point-blank statement. This is what transpired. But as we speak, no one has given us sufficient explanation as to why there was that siege on the hallowed ground of the National Assembly.
Okay, thank you, Obamedo. We'll come back to you. But before we continue, the presidency made it very clear that the order did not come from the presidency, and that actually necessitated the action of the acting president, Professor Osinbajo, who eventually sacked.
Permit me to react to that.
Dara, the DG.
Permit me to react to that.
We come to
organ. Sorry, I have to say this because our viewers are listening. Now, the Department of State Security Service, operating under the Security Act, is an organ under the presidency, as the Nigerian Police Force, the Independent National Electoral Commission, the National Youth Service Scheme, and a host of others.
Yes.
They cannot on their own, I repeat, on their own, go out and carry out that action in that commando style on the hallowed ground without a given authority. We as lawyers, we always put on our thinking cap to look at why was this. We don't only look at the action. Why was this? Because as lawyers, we are trained as professionals to interpret the law as it should be, stricto sensu. So that is why I have to quickly react that the Department of State Security is an arm, it's an organ, please, of the executive arm. So that explanation is not sufficient.
Thank you. We get the thoughts of a very seasoned politician with us, and of course, a former member of the Ondo House of Assembly, former legislator, Fidelis Ubejile. What's your own thoughts?
Well, it's sad. Unbelievable that the country Nigeria, after several years of what we claim to have, be free from political freedom, economic freedom, Nigerians are enslaving Nigerians. You asked, what did that action, which is condemnable by all, what did it stand to achieve by it? You militarize the system for what purpose? There are due process. Yes, there will be movement here and there, both parties benefiting from movements. But why? Are you talking about the defections? The defection, that's what I mean. People are defecting from one party to the other. History is being repeated as it happened in the past. Then, why are you now intimidating people? Everybody is claiming ignorance. We don't know what is happening. We are not aware. You and I know. As rightly mentioned by my brother here. Who is in charge of the armed forces? For how long can we start fooling Nigerians? Nigerians are not fools. We're intelligent people. Can anybody outside the commander-in-chief give directive to the director of SSS and he will carry out such directive? No. We can't be telling ourselves what we know better. What happened that day? We thank God that the international community reacted. We thank God that average Nigerian condemned it. That is why you see there are no more here and there. That was meant to have benefited some group of persons. The action was meant to have benefited people. Listen to the World Press briefing of the Senate President yesterday. He will echo it. A man, the Inspector General, will be pursuing left, right, and center. He's not giving directive to the police to come and seal up the hollow chamber. Nigerians fought for this hard-earned democracy. We should not toy with it. If that thing was not nipped at the bud, and the acting president didn't react, I assure you, there would have been no democracy as we speak now. Where people condemned the act, international community reacted instantly, and thank God, the journalists, the social media, people focus on what was going on. You cannot raise up your leg and say, I'm hiding. Where are you hiding anywhere? Nigerians know what is happening. This act is condemnable. We must not allow it to happen, or else we'll return back to the era tutorialism, dictatorship. Even it's worse than, this one is worse than the military era.
Thank you, Fidelis Ogbejile. Let's get the thoughts of Isaac Irabor before we continue the program. Still on the siege on the National Assembly. Isaac Irabor.
Well, I just have a little to add.
Yes.
I've heard my brothers have spoken in profound languages.
Okay.
Thoughts is a show of shame.
Okay.
It's a sham. And we should be rewarded by, if it was in the classroom those days, Nigeria should be flogged, or our leaders should be flogged. It's rather unfortunate we're turning the wheel back, and it shouldn't be so. More so in an election, most election year, that this thing happened before our very before. And that, I don't know. Well, we thank Osinbajo, a man who should be president himself, with all due regards. The problem we have in this country, now this has nothing to do with party or partisanship. Mm-hmm. This has to do with the national development. So not us now, maybe these younger people and maybe younger children. This is a despicable act. When you put round pegs in square holes, that's what happens. The way politicians don't behave like this. It's these nouveau politicians and civil servants and those who have held our president in check, the so-called cabal. See, they are responsible for what we have. People have inordinate ambition, people who are very nepotic, people who would not, who have really cashed in on the sickness, the illness of our president. Those who had or tried to stop Jonathan from becoming president, before you had that other thing that the National Assembly, the decision they took, you know, they are unduly ambitious, all for money. They are very corrupt people. You see, the new people coming in now, whether as governors or House of whatever, people are just coming in not for the love of our people, not for the love of Nigeria, not to develop our country. A man comes and says, all they're doing now is going to look for money. Come out, because they have made us very poor. The average voter, the average politician is a poverty-stricken person now. So they go out, they don't care where they get the money. Some can even get the money from the cemetery if it is possible. But listen, that is where we are. Is a dog a dog? People bring money, they just buy politicians because they are hungry. Politicians know what to do. And I'm really ashamed for politicians. The people come and buy us, they use us, they dump us. They say they brought money to buy us, again they buy nomination, and when they come into power, they don't think about us. You call your leader, he would not pick up the phone. But no, wait, yes. let me see. Okay. These are the
is that responsible for what transport?
Yes. It's responsible, partly. You will understand. You know, we can do it. Nothing will happen. Impunity. Do you understand? Our president, they are goading him. You see, when you talk about the president of the country or the governor of the country, these are people with ideas. The ones you have now don't have ideas. They don't have. All they came in with money. You know what I'm saying? You must govern. In those days, in the days of Awolowo, Awolowo is going to contest election 2-3 years. He has a blueprint. The day he gets into office, these people have no blueprint. I hear they made somebody a very important commissioner minister. I stay under inquest. You didn't have. We all went to National Youth Service. We could have avoided it to mention that someone in the position of the Minister for Finance didn't go through NYSC.
There's an allegation that is yet to be substantiated, right?
Yes, it's either you go or you are exempted. You are exempted.
It's just, there's going to be two things.
Two things. So the point I'm making, I'm even ashamed.
Yes.
I'm in a political party, and I don't think my political party.
You belong to the APC.
APC. That, you know, if we make these mistakes, it's a shame, and we should correct it. And we should look for proper people to run for high offices in this country. People who are well-trained in the arts and sciences and have been practicable. Not people just come in, just fly by night, they call them, just got here yesterday, America would say. And they want to rule. They don't know how to rule. People who don't love people should never rule us. People, you know, a governor should love his people. You know what I'm saying? Everything is not money. Our people, we are just following like fools. They use us, they dump us, they do anything they want to do with us. Okay. And they still promise that they will come again and buy our nomination. Okay. When you have such like things like this, if we are not politicians around the president, they will not behave like this. They will not. So I'm very ashamed that my party, directly or indirectly, because fingers are pointing this and that, APC probably should never. Because the tenets of APC, a great party, a party for the Talakawa of this country, a party that should liberate the good people of this country, when we start acting thus, as people say, and we must listen to people. I'm a pollster. I run public opinion polls. I made it popular in this country, not just in Edo State or Bengal State or whatever.
I'm one of those that know.
So the truth is that we have to do a rethink. Not only because of what this thing is happening too much. The other day they went and took the mace, ultra-virus.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
The next time now they are doing this. The next time now, I don't know what they're going to do. Going to take bazooka.
Before you come in, let me quickly, because Isaac Rabo on this program is not speaking for the APC. There is a chieftain of the party, but he's speaking. Whatever he's saying here. His personal opinion and comment. But let's quickly hear what the APC officially said. The All Progressive Congress, which had on Tuesday absolved itself from the invasion of the National Assembly, has defended the action of the DSS. The APC claimed that the action of DSS officers was taken to prevent a plot by the Senate President Dr. Bukola Saraki to incite violence. This was contained in a statement signed by his National Publicity Secretary, Mr. Yekini Nabena, in Abuja. The APC's new position is in sharp contrast to the position it took soon after the invasion on Tuesday, when it condemned the DSS action, the siege of the National Assembly, and dissociated itself from it. Mr. Azikara, but before you continue, I just felt it's good for us to interject. Now, this is a new dimension, it's a twist by your party. Do you have any quick reaction to that?
No, well, there's a party, that is the hierarchy of the party.
Okay.
I'm just a party member.
Yes.
So I have expressed my opinion, and that which way, what happened is in bad taste and should never happen. And the party under this new leadership, I think, should give proper leadership. And I'm also seeing it in that direction. When you, like I said, having square pegs in round holes, that's what happens. You know, you see the new leadership probably will temper a little bit.
Okay, thank you. Now, let me allow the legal practitioner to quickly.
You see, you may not know, but I'll have to tell you that you are contributing to nation building, nationhood, by giving us this forum to say it the way it is, point blank, and spell it out. I want to thank you for establishing this forum.
Yeah, we thank the management of ITV for thank you.
Now, let me tell you this. You see, it is so disturbing to us as lawyers. We know what it is to have democracy in place, as opposed to military juntas that have existed prior to now. Now, I want to start by commending the action of Professor Yemi Osinbajo, the acting president, for nipping the bud in sacking the Director General of the Department of State Security Service, Lawa Dara. I'm not surprised also because he's a lawyer. He knows what the stakes are. Again, I'm also saddened because I earlier mentioned in the foregoing that Nigeria operates a written constitution. For a law student in the university, he knows what to call separation of powers. All these various organs are distinct from each other.
Okay.
The only time there is this interrelation is when opportunity calls for what we call checks and balances. I don't know if you understand me.
Yes.
Checks and balances in between the various arms of government. That is when we can, and it will be heady. Not this that is unheady. So I am saying, and rightly so, that we must say it because the general public, they are listening.
Yeah.
What happened on that day is damnable, and it has affected our reputation in the International Committee of Nations. And we are saddened by that.
Okay.
So we have to say it now through this forum that that action by the then DSS Director General was an unnecessary usurpation of power. I'll rest. I'll wait.
Thank you. Let's get to go. Yes, let's get.
I wish to add.
Okay.
Let me commend
Isaac Irabor.
Isaac Irabor is another statesman.
Okay.
He has spoken here as an leader for the benefit of Nigerians. We are all living witness to statements being made by certain individuals who are high placed in the hierarchy of the political parties. We are in charge of the SSS now. We're in charge of the police. We're in charge of NNPC. That is not supposed to be made by any person. If you're in charge of the wealth of the nation, must you use it to humiliate your fellow Nigerians? It is wrong. Statement released by the public relations officer of the other party, the APC, was a statement made after thought. You and I know, in this situation, the man who would have reacted has been silent. I don't want to mention names.
Okay.
They all know they are coup plotters and planners. We must go deep, set up high power, probe into what happened. You know the heads will roll. If they are not prosecuted, my brother, there will be no Nigeria. Because this is condemnable, unacceptable, and it's an affront to the nascent democracy.
Thank you. Bajumo.
Yes.
I can see that you have something to say.
Yeah, you took one out of my mouth.
Okay.
Because, last time I was here,
yes,
analyzed the Irabor, sir, didn't see eye to eye because he was defending his party.
Okay.
But when he spoke just now, I took my hat off for him.
It's not partisan because on this program now. Okay.
That is what it's supposed to be. Nigeria is supposed to confess before any political party.
Okay. And
I will challenge every members of the APC, PDP, and every other party out there to make sure they put our country first before themselves and their political party. Let's say the truth. What they did was totally wrong. Destroying Nigeria in the eyes of the international community, it brought us down. It's destroying the future of our children. Let's wake up. As a Karabosa, I thank you very much. And every other political party members, this is not one political party. Every party out there in Nigeria, we have about something parties in Nigeria. Let everybody wake up and put our country first.
Thank you. Let's continue on the program. Don't forget, we are not just looking at one aspect of strengthening democracy. We're taking a holistic view of the issue. Democracy must be encouraged because it guarantees freedom of the people. But what happened in the National Assembly has prompted the discussion. The Senate President has spoken. He actually addressed a world press conference just yesterday, and he commended the sack of the former GG of the DSS, Daura, but he also commended the acting president for taking that action. But he called for probe into what transpired. We don't know that the president is going to react to that, but that's what the state president, one of the very many issues that he addressed, and he also said that He and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Dogara, they are not desperate to hang on to power. But if the normal majority is gotten for their impeachment, they will surely go. That's part of what he said. But let's quickly move on to some other issues in terms of strengthening democracy. Only yesterday, a former Senate minority leader was officially received into the APC after his defection from the PDP to the APC. Let's just hear his comment before we continue on the program.
I'd like to be a conspirator who joins hands to conspire to bring food to the table of Nigerians. I would like to be a conspirator who joins hands to conspire to bring peace to Benue State. Yes. I would like to be a conspirator who joins hands to conspire to stop the killings in our dear country. Yes. I would like to be a conspirator who joins hands to ensure full employment for our children. Yes, sir. I would like to be a conspirator who brings food to the table of Nigerians. Yes, sir. I would like to be a conspirator who brings about uncommon transformation of Nigeria.
That was the ceremony right there in Akwa Ibom, where a former two-time governor of Akwa Ibom State and a former Senate minority leader, Godswill Akpabio, was officially or formally received into the APC. And you heard his comments. He said he wants to be seen as a conspirator who did that, who do that. So let's quickly react to that. We'll start with Fidelis Ogbejile. And now we'll be seeing, you talked about the defection earlier on the show. We'll be seeing defection, people moving from one party to the other. Yes, now Akpabio has moved from the PDP to the APC. Is it part of what should be expected in a normal democracy?
Very well.
Okay.
The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria gives room for what is happening. Freedom of association, freedom of expression, freedom of all this. But Akpabio spoke very well. He didn't indict anybody. But assuming it was in the other way around, by today, they would have been running after the person. We shouldn't allow that to happen. He has told Nigerians why he had decided to associate with the group he's now associating with. Well and good. What is the offense of Dogara? What is the offense, though Dogara had not officially left the party he is, what is the offense of Bukola Saraki, the Senate president? These are the crop of politicians that left the party, the PDP, and gave victory to the present government. If they decide to do what they feel was good for them to do, why then do we start pursuing them here and there? You know, today I was reading in one of the dailies that an account of a serving state governor had been frozen. Not his personal account, the account of the state.
Akwa Ibom State government is frozen. Benue State government account frozen, but only just now we got a breaking news that the Benue State government has been unfrozen.
Thank God they did that.
But Akwa Ibom is still frozen.
Yet, why would they be doing that?
Yes, EFCC, from what we gathered, wants to carry out investigation. Take with that of Benue, we got a comment, wants to carry out investigation on the issue of security votes in Benue.
You see, the issue of security vote in Benue, if you are carrying out investigation as per what happened, is it by freezing up an account you get your required information? These are selective punity, selective punishment you are meting on people that before you know it, Nigeria is likely going to explode. If I don't know a cast, you saw that lady, good head, who confronted a man with a gun, say, shoot me, shoot me. If this was how it was, would good luck have not been an emperor? That was not how. Good luck said, I don't want to use the blood of any man to rise. When the people decide, before the final result came, he congratulated the president. Mr. President, congratulations. That is how it ought to be. If we are not able to manage our democracy well, if this thing had prevailed the other day, you would not have been surprised that fellow Nigerian, Brigadier yes, we don't pray for that. God, it didn't happen. We don't pray because we now have what it takes to communicate. We have that. If it were in the time before now, would have just been living in darkness. Nobody would know what was going on. But because they noticed whatever they were doing was being sent to the world, that is why you see them trying to revise the irreversible.
Okay. Thank you, Fidelis Ogbejele. Let's get the thought of Bajumo.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to add to that.
You said the defection. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, but you see, when you freeze an account of a state, because the governor deferred to another party.
No, that's not what they said.
That's not what they said. You and I know why they are doing it. Okay, let's call it spade a spade. Nobody's a child of it. We're all politicians. I was the former chairman of the local government. If you freeze an account because of a governor, quote and unquote, you not handling the governor, you handling the people of the state. What are the people of Akwa Ibom State? The whole people in Akwa Ibom, what have they done that their account is frozen? How is the governor supposed to run a state? The governor has his own account. Regardless what happens, he will go and withdraw from his account to take care of his family. But the general people of Akwa Ibom State are being punished just because their leader or the sitting governor, let's call it spade, moved to another party. We are bigger than that. This country is greater than that. We have to stop this. You know, everybody is scared to speak. If you speak, you will die. If you don't speak, you're going to die. Nobody's going to live forever.
You know, but we must be objective. We must be objective because our viewer out there must be well enlightened. The FCC, in the case of Benue, the statement we got is that they want to carry an investigation. But the good thing is that the Governors Forum condemned the act of freezing of state government accounts. And only today, we also saw the development after the Governors Forum had made comments.
Talking about the Governors Forum.
Yes.
I'm a member of the Governors Forum in Edo State. As a matter of fact, I'm the chairman of the Governors Forum. And speaking now, former governorship candidates. Yes. Okay, former governorship candidates who contested in the last election. It's not only 2016. Okay. We have other members that have contested years ago.
Okay. You know, so former governorship candidates.
Yes, and I'm not speaking on behalf of our forum that we condemn it as well. It's wrong.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. We have to allow.
I wanted to ask a question I would have also assisted.
Okay, quick one. Yes.
Yes, we are happy that we have a lawyer in our midst.
Yes.
My learned brother, does the law allow a serving governor to be investigated?
My brother, I'm so happy with that question. There's what we call immunity.
Okay.
As guaranteed by the Constitution. Yes. I was waiting for you to ask me a question. When you talk about freezing of state accounts,
yes.
Is it an order from court? Is it a court order?
Is it in the
we are in a state of lawlessness. The EFCC, as an organ under the executive arm of government, cannot operate with impunity. You cannot freeze the account of a state and make the state moribund, as it were. That is an act of invasion, quote and unquote. You can only freeze an account when there is a court order. That is why we are clamoring for us to allow our democracy to thrive. Freedom, liberty is what democracy guarantees. I didn't want to talk about it because I'm not a politician. Like I told you, and I will repeat it. God might believe I will never be a politician. I've told you that.
Yeah.
Now, the cross-carpeting or deflection that you have talked about is permissible under our extant laws. Outside the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, even the Articles of Association that enables a party to operate within Nigeria, whether it be APC or PDP or the likes, they also allow for any member, for whatever reason, to leave a party if dissatisfied. So there shouldn't be any hue and cry about cross-carpeting and the likes.
Thank you. Isaac Irabor, quick one.
You see, I'm so proud of this panel.
Yeah.
Because we're dealing with intellectual people. It's a lot better than this strict mentality.
Okay.
You see, it's unfortunate that I could still go back. Square pegs in round holes. Go back.
Yes, but can you just...
A lot of people they seem to be in a hurry.
Okay.
Hurry for what? There are moves you take in politics that you lose elections. Because people are becoming wise. It used to be where I am Action Group, I am Ogboni, I am... You know what I'm saying? People are getting educated. We are spending so much money educating our people, and they are watching the tube, that television. People, they stay by that TV, they wake up in the morning. So we've got to be very, very careful.
Okay.
Those people who are managing.
Yeah. So defection of Akpabio now. What's the reaction to?
No. In section 68, is it a subsection G in the federal constitution guarantees even members can move from one party to the other.
So it's part of democracy.
It is part of it. Even speaker, this and that. These are people.
They're not tied to any party.
Yes. So, but if the party you have left becomes, if it's still alive, then you are very free. There's a provision here in that part
proviso.
A proviso. You know. So this whole thing, even if all of them decide to leave, and you have a strong party that says we must give good health to our people, and everybody is saying no, let's fly to the moon. On the basis of that, you can win elections. Let us learn to do what is right. Let us give favor to the underprivileged people. Let the people in government know that the votes of these common people made them governor or made them Mr. President. Yeah. You know, you must show care. What we have now is just a grabber. People choke the chief executive. It's not even a party matter now. A few cabal within a party, they want to dictate everything. What is right and what is wrong. That's the reason. We have pursuit of freedom is non-negotiable.
Thank you, Isaac.
Do you understand?
Yeah, thank you. I like that. Pursuit of freedom is non-negotiable. Yeah, thank you, Isaac. I like that. Thank
freedom to be.
Okay.
Freedom to speak. Freedom to do whatever. As long as my freedom ends, when yours begins.
Yes. Thank you.
Do you understand?
Yeah, thank you.
So this whole thing that people are just doing, they just come, security vote, this and that, don't they themselves.
Thank you. Because of time.
Let me thank you.
Because of time.
But I also want to make a correction, Mr. Lawyer.
Because of time. Thank you.
Yes, just 1 minute.
Yeah.
Can a governor be investigated? I don't know what the law says, but prosecuted is a different matter. You can prosecute him after he leaves office.
Okay.
But while here, you can investigate someone. Anybody can investigate.
Thank you very much, Isaac Irabor. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's edition. If you did, then you must keep a date with us. But I must thank Fidelis Ogbejile. Thank you for your time and your very wonderful contribution to the program. And of course, we have a legal luminary in our midst who have also given us very wonderful insight to the topic at hand. And of course, a former chairman of a local government, Bajumo, has also spoken very well, and I believe that we've all enjoyed to this program. My name is Erosa Agbolao. God willing, see you next week, another edition of the program.
Can we conclude without looking at the way forward, Mr. Erosa? This forum, like I said, is for us to ventilate ideas. I want to say something. You investigate without prosecuting. That's a nullity. That is why we say every governor enjoys immunity under our constitution. I'm just reacting to what my learned secretary Isaac Irabor said. Let me say this, please.
The director has told us that our time is over.
Yes. Now, what can prevent such reoccurrence in the future, like the invasion of the hallowed ground of the National Assembly? We must have respect for the rule of law.
Okay.
That is what we are saying. Without that, I will not be free to anchor this program.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Prosecuted.
I hope you enjoyed the program. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.